All right, hi class. Hopefully I've got everything working for you today. Sound is on. You can read my screen, it's not too small. We're going to go over some geometry terms. So a point names a location. Looks just like that. This is a line, that's the notation for a line. So this is line AB. You can see it's a line because it extends in both directions and it has the arrows, but a line segment ends at C and D. So you can see here, since there's no arrows on the line above CD, that would be the notation for a line segment. Here's a ray. Okay, so it's an endpoint with an arrow going one direction. Think of the rays of the sun. This is a plane. It's a flat surface that goes forever and ever in all directions, such as the coordinate plane. Collinear are points on the same line. Non-collinear are points not on the same line. Coplanar are points on the same plane. Intersecting lines are lines that cross. We've seen that already. Parallel lines are lines in the same plane, and they are the same distance apart. So we talked a little bit about that already. And skew lines are not in the same plane and do not intersect and are not parallel. Okay, we have an angle. An angle is formed when two rays meet at one point. Rays are also called sides of the angle. And the point there, C, is called the vertex. This symbol stands for congruent, which is equal in measure. Perpendicular, two lines that intersect to form right angles. Vertical angles are angles that are across from each other. They're on the opposite sides of that vertex in the middle. So this is saying that angle 1 and 2 are congruent, and angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. Complementary angles are angles that have a sum of 90 degrees. Sum of two angles amounts to 90 degrees, and supplementary is sum of two angles that amounts to 180 degrees. And then here are some types of angles. You've got your acute angle, less than 90. Your obtuse is greater than 90. Your right angle is exactly 90, and your straight angle is 180 degrees. And then the last one I wanted to add in here is a linear pair, is when supplementary angles are also adjacent to each other. So these two are considered to be a linear pair because their sum is 180, but they're also right next to each other in the picture, sharing that same ray here. So we're going to do some practice problems with this vocabulary. And you're going to identify each pair of angles. Okay, so what do you think these would be called, X and Y? Those are considered corresponding angles because if you slide this down, one is an exact copy of the other in the exact same place. These here are on opposite sides, so we're going to use the word alternate. They're on opposite sides of the transversal, so they're alternate. And are they inside the parallel lines or outside? They're outside, so we're going to call that alternate exterior angles. Okay, these ones here are just like these ones here, so corresponding. Now these are inside the parallel lines and on the same side of the transversal. So we call these consecutive because they're on the same side, interior, consecutive interior. These here are called alternate interior. What do you think these are called? If you said alternate exterior, you are correct. Okay, number 7, what do you think those are called? So here are the parallel lines, here and here. They're inside those lines, and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So we're going to call them alternate interior. And lastly, we're looking at there's a lot of extra lines here that you don't need to look at, but just look at these and these. So here's your transversal. We're on opposite sides, so alternate, and not inside but outside, so alternate exteriors. Okay, a couple more. Consecutive interior, number 9. And number 10 is a corresponding situation there. Okay, so if I take this and I slide it straight down here, it's just one is a copy of the other. So that's just they're called corresponding angles. All right, to find the measure of the missing angles, you're just going to use the vocabulary and what you know about these different types of corresponding angles that are congruent. So the only situation here, there's only one where the two angles are not congruent. Okay, so these are congruent because they're alternate exterior. These are alternate interior. Those are congruent. Can you find the one where they're not congruent? If you said number 13, you are correct. So number 13, they are not congruent. So the way to find this angle, the way to get at this angle, you can do it many different ways. But what I would do is I would find the corresponding angle. So that would be here. So if this is 100 degrees, right? And this is a straight line, the question mark plus 100 degrees has to be 180 degrees, equal to 180. So when you add these two together, because those are considered supplementary angles, that missing angle measure is going to be 80 degrees. Okay, the rest, if you want to take a look, those are all congruent. Okay, moving on. So it gets a little bit more difficult. Okay, now we need to solve for x. Feel free to copy these down. So you can pause here. This is a 90-degree angle. It's missing there. You can pause here and think about how you would solve for x in these situations. Obviously, you need to set up an equation. And by these angle properties, we know that when they are congruent, that means they're equal in measure. So I could let this amount equal what? Equal 90 degrees. So my equation would look like this, and then I just solve for x. And this comes out to x equals 4. So go ahead and pause it here. Go ahead and give these a try. Let me focus it for you. Give these a try, and then you can play this out, and I'll release the answers to you one by one. Okay, the answer to number 20, x equals 7. Number 21, x equals 8. Number 22, x equals -7. Number 23, x equals 9. And number 24, x equals 5. And that's as far as I wanted to go with that today. Thank you all for listening.